Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he's and hims, she's and hers, theys and thems. Welcome, everyone, to TGIF Good Night Friday. This is Three Bells as we feature tonight's Smackdown that just ended a few minutes ago. And what an episode it was! We're going to talk about it, we're going to look back into it, including Paul Heyman and his mission for tonight, including Logan Paul and his call out, including Bianca Belair versus Bayley, and also KO responding to Logan Paul. We got Bobby and Friends and Karrion Kross as he announced something very new to the WWE Universe. And one of our good buddies from NXT, Mello, he showed his face tonight. And then the main event, a little twist happened, and something good and something bad happened. So let's begin Three Bells. But I'd like to say first, hello to everyone that's at the table tonight. I'm talking about the man, Mundo, aka Mondes Ford, aka Des, aka whatever name he's going by today, depending on the weather. What's going on, Des?
What's going on, my brother Shane O'Mac? What up, what up, what up? Hello, everybody. Hello,
It is
and
so
welcome
good.
to the Bells Podcast. I like that intro. Thank
It
you.
is so good. It's so good to have you sitting here because I have somebody that I can attack rather than be here by myself. As you can see, Jay is not at the table at this time because he's on assignment, but he will be joining us before the end of the night. And with that being said, let us begin. Three Bells. We do it one more time for you, for the people in the back, and one last time for that person that's just entering. Let us begin. This is a look back into tonight's SmackDown. And I must say that tonight's SmackDown, in my opinion, was better than last week's. Yes, I know last week we had Roman Reigns, but there was something different about tonight. The matches were top shelf, grade A, prime beef matches tonight. But before we start, let me give you a reminder. We was reminded, for those of you who are in Brooklyn or who is near Brooklyn, guess what? Guess what? The Raw episode right before WrestleMania is going to be right here in Brooklyn. That's right. The final Raw before WrestleMania is in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn on Monday, April 1st. That's not my birthday. April 1st at 7:30 p.m. Tickets will be on sale starting next Friday, January 19th. And all it is as we hit Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh, Tampa, Florida next Saturday, January 27th. Are you ready, Dez? Are you ready to go to Brooklyn, Dez? Are you ready for
I'm ready.
Mania? Are you ready for
I,
Royal Rumble?
I'm ready for it all, man. And the prospect of us possibly having a live show at Raw is something that I'm thinking about too. I don't know. We got to see what the bosses say, but that possibility is just something that's amazing to me. But I'm ready for it all, big bro.
Yeah, that's a good point. When was the last time Raw hit Brooklyn? It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. Uh, Shoot. I mean, was it even Raw the last time we went? I mean, it might have been last year or the year before. No, it had to be mid-time last year because I still have the video because I had my Raw 30 shirt on. So it was sometime
Right.
last year. It was a long time ago, but they came back here a few times after that with SmackDown. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Well, we definitely got to check that out. We definitely will be in the building, so keep a lookout for us if you are there. The Three Bells is going to be live and saying hello to all of you at Barclay, our home, Brooklyn, baby, all day, every day. So, Des, let's talk about how SmackDown opened today. So it was supposed to have been a singles match with Grayson Waller, with his best buddy in the whole world, Austin Theory, walking him down the aisle to the ring. And he was supposed to have a one-on-one with Cameron Grimes, excuse me. But then out of nowhere, Solo and Jimmy attack Cameron. They attack Cameron, and then they was charging at the ring, and then they ran out, and then Paul Heyman, he gets on the mic, and he basically calls out the general manager of SmackDown, Mr. Nick Aldis, calls him a bad guy. So, Des, my question to you is, first off, what did you think of that opening? And is Nick really a good or a
Well,
bad
it's
guy?
Theory. Well, of course, Theory and Grayson, ran out of the ring like two little punks because that's what they are, punks. Um, But I think it was a smart move because I don't think that was a match that anybody actually was looking forward to watching. Honestly, like to be real. But
Mm-hmm.
so that to me, scratching that was good. And to hear anytime we get a chance to hear Paul Heyman, it's literally a blessing. So that's another thing that I give two thumbs up with. And I loved his little rant that he had against Nick Aldis, because if we all remember, Paul Heyman used to be SmackDown general manager years and years ago. So that's why he started labeling him as a bad guy. But, I love the fact that Nick Aldis is not willing to be pushed around. So, Shane, you can go ahead with what happened after that.
Well, Nick, he has this thing with the bloodline, so he's like, okay, well, there's going to be AJ Styles, an LA Knight, and Randy Orton versus the bloodline, which includes Roman Reigns. So we was like, oh snap, no way, Roman Reigns is here. He's in cold ass Lincoln, Nebraska. No way, no way. And then of course, Paul talks to Nick in a very, you know, a little child's way to let him know, you know as well as I do, that Roman is not here. Now, what were your thoughts, Des, when you heard Nick say that? I was like, dude, if you knew he wasn't there, then why the hell would you say that? Did you say that because you wanted to get us riled up? I mean, what was the cause of that?
Exactly what you said, because I knew he was lying when he said Roman Reigns. But the I guess the point of it from a backstage aspect is a lot of people have been talking about this Roman run has been blah, and it's nobody cares anymore. But the reaction the crowd gave when he said Roman Reigns' name was just like, it was a pop. It was the loudest pop of the night. So I found it
Hmm.
funny, because I should know that Roman Reigns is not going to show up on the SmackDown unless he's advertised. So everyone should have known better than that. Like, come on. I got a good laugh out of it though, and they got a good pop out of it. And that's what it was. That's the whole point of it. That was it. Was, it served its purpose. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, the moment he said that Roman's not here, I said, wait a minute. Because at first when he said and Roman Reigns, I said, oh cool. But I said, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute, because first of all, we would have seen Roman Reigns into the building because that's just what he is. He's God at this point. So he would have been his presence would have been announced before the match, any match or any promo would have even started it. So that's how I knew they was lying. But the thing that was interesting to me, Des, was how throughout the night, and we're going to get into the other matches as well, but throughout the night, how Paul Heyman was looking for a third, because we knew that bloodline only consists of two people besides Roman as the tribal chief. You have Jimmy Uso, and then you have their little brother Solo Sokola. We need a third person, or this is going to be a handicap match, regardless of us finding a third person or not. We're still going to have this match. So, Des, let me ask you just side no question, just a side question. Who do you think would have been a good third person to join the bloodline?
That's a hard question, because the Bloodline has basically taken out everybody on the roster across the board, across both shows. So I'm not surprised that it ended up the way it was, because who would want to work with them? Everybody has some type of gripe with them in one way or another, whether it's a mid card person, whether it's a main event person, somebody who's a jobber. Everybody has a gripe with them. So I am not shocked at how it played out. I can't even tell you who would have been a good person. I mean, if they never had any static, I would have said the best person would have been Bobby. But he has his own issues. And then again, he like he said, only time he wants to be in the ring with the Bloodline is if he's going against Roman Reigns. So I
Mm.
completely support that 100%.
Yeah, it seems like the only single person that could have been the third is Paul Heyman himself. That would have been comedy gold.
And you know what's funny? I thought that he was going to tell him that he was going to compete tonight. I was actually waiting on that when he said, "Oh yeah, okay, so Roman's not here. Of course, he doesn't finish what he starts." So then he said Solo and Jimmy. I thought he was going to say Roman Reigns. I kid you not. I kid you not.
But that would have been interesting though. That would have been interesting. But why tonight? That like why tonight? I understand some nights Roman shows up for reasons to you know because it was the first SmackDown of the year, or how you call it, a pay per view is about to show up, or another program is trying to outdo them. So they doing a let's us remind you as to who we are type of move. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen. What say you?
Well, I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil anything, but weirdly and oddly enough, WWE actually did give us the dates that Roman would be on the show, and the fifth was one of them. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the 18th or something like that. So it was the last live SmackDown in 2023, the first SmackDown of 2024, and then the third SmackDown of 2024. So we actually were given the dates that he would be on the show, and they advertised him tonight for next Friday. So we should have but that's the thing, we forget these things. But it was known, we knew this. He wasn't going to be there today, but
Yeah,
that was a hell
totally.
of a
Like
rib,
it,
man.
yeah, it doesn't it doesn't make sense, moving forward to have them there today. It just doesn't. But speaking of being somewhere, and speaking of our table, look who has joined us, Des. It's Triple J.
Well, welcome, Triple J.
Yeet yeet, what's going on, fellas? What's good?
No
Where we
yeet.
at?
No yeet.
Ah, boo. Let's get it.
Yes, yes, let's get it. It is so good to have you here at the table with us, Jay. We have a lot to talk about
Facts.
with this Dynamite Smackdown tonight. What do you think about
Well,
Smackdown all in all tonight, Jay?
yo, it was a great episode. Minus all the little promos and segments that we were getting, shit was fire, bro. All the way through. And I would say, like, it's hard to pick the best match of the night because everything was literally popping on and off. He was like, what? And then even like that shit Mello was doing in his fight earlier. Crazy shit, bro. Even like I hope Son is okay now because of what happened.
Oh,
You know,
we're
in all
totally going to
actuality.
dive into that. We're gonna
Hmm.
Well,
we're gonna go into detail in that a little later on.
The
But
main event was great.
oh, the main event was awesome, and we're definitely going to dive into that. So we're going to do like little quick hits of these other matches, but that's going to be
Right.
our more in-depth conversation. So there actually was a first match. The first match was a tag team match, and it was between, and my hooked on phonics tape has not come in, fellas, so please don't laugh at me if I mispronounce these names. These are Spanish names. So I'll just say Wild versus Del Toro versus Garza and this Umberto guy. I've never liked this guy. Uh,
Umberto. Umberto.
yeah, is that his name? Is the H is silent, so it's
Yeah.
Umberto, like umbrella
What, you sound
or
like you're about to throw up.
umloop.
You sound like you're about to
Yeah.
throw up.
Yeah, well, from
Angel.
the way they was performing tonight, you would think that they threw up because during the match, look who comes out but Mr. Handicap himself, Carlito. He
Your
comes
favorite
out.
person.
Say it again.
You heard me. I said your favorite person. I seen you jumping up and down and screaming for Carlito once again. This is a recurring situation.
Ah, okay. So we're going to have that cup of coffee. Okay. All right. Well, let me take away the sugar by saying this. I will admit, when I first saw Carlito, of course I was excited. Everybody was excited. It's Carlito. But then moving forward, he proved that he's not Carlito. He's Carlito.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was
And
in the room with Shane O'Mac when Carlito returned to WWE Backlash.
Carlito.
I was there right next to him. Okay.
You've been put on blast.
Hey, and in my
How?
defense, you was making noise also. You were surprised also.
Right, but I haven't talked bad about him since. So look,
I have legit reason. I have legit reason. And once again, he has proven that tonight. First of all, when he comes out, like he does his little mic thing, that's for a few minutes. And then when he fight, he's not fighting solo. Well, he did once and he got injured. But then when he did the tag team, he fought a couple times and then he walked out because he has low stamina. And then tonight, he decides to sucker attack Santos. Santos sitting there on the side, he was chilling, looking at his boys win. And here comes Carlito, jumps out of nowhere after sneaking into the stadium and gets a seat that somebody paid for and sucker punch Santos. And in spite of all of that, Berto and Angel wins. It was a good match. It was a very, very good match, but I don't like sucker punches. The sucker punches for suckers. What say you,
Rascal,
Jay?
you rabbit. You rascal, you rabbit, you. That was a great match, featuring pretty much all the Spanish guys in the ring. It was like we got AAA in the ring. All of them, like literally all the Mexican guys, just going at it, jumping jelly beans and shit. I liked it, but you know what it is with Carlito? His music entrance sucks. He should have stood with the old theme song, and maybe I would have liked him a little bit more than what he is now. But he's just proven that he's a real jobber. He's just coming in for like 2 minutes and then leaving. He ain't doing nothing. He's bored. He's literally boring. He's a waste of time.
Do you have a counter for that, Dez?
I actually don't have a counter because I agree with Jay. His theme song is what throws it all off. It doesn't fit. So it's like the fans in every arena, whenever he comes out, because we don't see him often, everybody's just like, who the hell is this? And then you see him like, oh, that theme song is not recognizable. And for somebody making a comeback basically on a Legends contract, you want to keep everything recognizable for the fans so you can get the best pop that you can. And that theme song throws me personally, it throws me off every time. I'm like, who the hell? Oh yeah, I forgot that he still works here. But yeah, I agree with Jay. No counters here, you know, surprisingly. But I'm not talking bad about him. But yeah.
Okay,
Oh
yeah, great.
shit.
So agree with Jay, who's basically saying the same thing I said. Great, great. But at the end of it all, in spite of all of these facts that we are spinning, Carlito says, I only want Santos when he was approached by Paul Heyman to join Bloodline. Now, come on, Carlito. You versus Santos? Really, guys? Is this even a match worth having? Whether it's in Royal Rumble or whether it's on Toomey. Is this a match worth having, Des? Carlito versus Santos.
I can say the reason why the answer is yes is because you got to remember the entire story, uh, Shane. Right now, Carlito is the de facto leader of LWO, and he's going up against Santos, who has his own faction now, and the same Santos that attacked him. And then while he attacked him, he attacked Ray, and then took Ray out. So right now, it's basically the two leaders of the faction going against each other until Ray is healthy enough, and then we'll probably get a Dragon League join in with Rey Mysterio and whatnot. But yeah, it's just hard to follow because Carlito, who isn't as important as a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar or somebody, he's he's on the show as often as they are. He's here and there, here and there. Like he's not on the show enough for you to remember that he's on the show. So that's I think what the problem is that he's not on the show enough. And then when he shows up, he's only on the show for like 5 minutes. And I think that might be your biggest gripe with him.
Yes, my biggest gripe with him is his stamina, a lack of it. So, Jay, which shirt are you wearing? Are you wearing a Carlito shirt or a Santos shirt for that match?
I'm wearing a Santos shirt for that match because I believe in Legado. He will come through for the group. He's more younger, fresher. His moves are more polished as to where Carlito, as you say, he lacks stamina. So all of his moves are gonna come out looking real bland. So basically, Santos will have to carry him in the match and beat him, and and then move on, because Carlito seems like he's only going to be on TV for the whole year, but probably an hour max, and everything combined. If it's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, yeah, we'll give him an hour the whole entire year.
That's a mess. That's a hot mess. Well, speaking of hot messes and speaking of good times, we had our U.S. champ pay us a visit today. Our great U.S. champion Logan Paul. He came out with a black eye and had a little message for Mr. Kevin Owens, saying that he is going to press charges because that little sucker punch that his eye wasn't from his hand, but it was from the cast of his hand. So he considered that a weapon and considered it an assault. So not only does Logan Paul wants to see him in the ring, but he also wants to see him in the court. So he calls out Kevin Owens, and guess what? Kevin Owens responds. He responds by saying, hey man, why don't you come over to my show next week? So the question is, fellas, Des and then Jay, will Logan Paul show up to the KO show next week on Smackdown?
I say no, only because it's a one more week before um, Royal Rumble. So I say no. He'll have a video for KO to play while KO's in the ring, but I don't see him showing up next week. Yeah, only for the fact that they're gonna save it for the Friday before Royal Rumble. But then I could be wrong. Maybe they want him there as well because the fact that Roman Reigns is going to be there. So big ratings show. I'm back and forth, but my heart says no, he won't be there. That's my take.
That's a very interesting point that you mentioned Roman Reigns, because that would help big time with the ratings to not only have Roman, but to have Logan Paul there as well. That's a good point. What say you, Jay?
I think he's going to show up. My main reason is because Logan Paul is one of those guys that he craves TV time, and you could tell that he's good in front of the camera. So I feel that they're gonna both be on there next week, just throwing shots at each other, and somebody's gonna lay hands on each, between the two guys. That's basically my thoughts on it. Real quick answer. That's all I see prior to this match is just them two talking, them beating each other up, and Logan ending it with a sucker punch.
Shane, if I can actually retort to that or reply to that real quick, because I just thought of something else, if that's okay with you.
Hit it.
Well, just going off of what we've been saying the last few days, in this case with KO, I actually expect, again, I don't expect Logan to show up, but what I do expect is for Logan to have a video, and while KO is in the ring, he gets interrupted by Grayson Waller, and maybe Theory if he's 100%. We don't know how he's doing, but I think that, to further their beef, I think he'll show up. And then it'll lead again to KO punching him in the face or whatever like that, which is, pissing Grayson off more to the point where, as we predicted, that he'll interfere in the match at Royal Rumble. So that's my little add-on to what I said initially.
I hate to admit it, but that does make sense. That actually makes sense, and I can totally see that. But then again, this is Triple H era, and anything is possible. Anything is possible, including Logan Paul, still U.S. champion after Royal Rumble, going into WrestleMania. But that story is to be continued till next week. Bianca Belair. She had her match versus Bayley, and she was accompanied by her Damage Control girls in ringside. And it was a very, very good top tier PLE pay per view match. These girls went at it back to back, knuckle to knuckle, flip to flip. It was clean, it was hard, it was fast paced. It was a very, very good match for Bianca to win at the end without very little to no interference, physically anyway, from Damage Control. So, fellas, let me ask you this question. Moving forward, first of all, what did you think of the match between Belair and Bayley? We'll go with Jay first and then Des to follow. Okay, we can do Des first and then Jay to follow.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Sorry, sorry. I had a little choke on the soda, but this match,
Soda?
yeah, I just choked on soda, like laughing. I'm sorry.
Soda. Mm.
Yes, I got a bottle of 2 liter Pepsi right next to me with my name on it. But yeah, that was a great match for the women to have because of the fact is you get to see both females put on their power and display the skills that they've had for years. The beef that they had maybe a year or so ago looks like it's revitalized, and I loved it because they were so clean at every move, crispy. And it's good that Damage Control didn't interfere because now we are seeing that they're trying to really leave her on her own to do everything. So, to me, I feel that eventually Bailey is going to turn back and go to the hugging style Bailey because of the fact is she's realizing that these girls are not paying her no mind at all. They're like, do what you got to do. You want to fight. You want to do this. Go ahead. Be the leader. But we're not helping you. And I like to say, to me, the way that match ended, that was the cleanest and the best KOD I have ever seen Bianca put out there. So crisp.
Good insight. Good insight. How about you, Dash?
All right, well, Shane, this first note is for you because you love to complain about the amount of commercials in a show. Did you realize that the last 7 to 10 minutes of the 8 o'clock hour, which this match was on, they did not have a commercial. They let this match go straight through. They completely let it go straight through to the finish without a commercial interrupting it. Did you realize that? You can answer that.
Well, of course they let it play, dude, because they ran out of commercials. They play so much commercials before the match and after the match, they had no choice but to play the full match in. There's your answer.
Yeah, he comes ready all the time. I respect it. But I was completely disappointed in the match. Yes, I was completely disappointed
What?
because one, I am completely and utterly tired of Bianca Belair and her and that goddamn ponytail and that parading around the goddamn ring. I'm over it. Completely over it. Um, it's a travesty that Bayley did not win. Um, I don't understand why all of a sudden now, after trying to pretend to be buddy buddy with Bayley, now all of a sudden Damage Control wants to just stand there and look when they know what their job was supposed to be. They were supposed to help her out. Dakota Kai's gonna come with this BS excuse saying, "Oh, the ref was watching." No, he was not. She pulled the ref over saying her knee was hurting, and y'all was just standing there not doing nothing. So I don't care about how much of a PLE type match this was. The outcome sucked, and what Damage Control didn't do sucked. And overall, I give the match a 2 out of 10, straight up.
Now, everybody, please do not get it mixed up. What you just heard for the past few minutes was not me. That was Dez. Just so you know, that was Dez that said everything, not me. All right? Because I'm sure everybody would expect for me to have said what you just said, Dez. But nope, I'm giving the full flowers to Dez tonight for him saying what he just said. And I will add to this. I would say out of Belair and Bailey. Well, I just say I'll speak for Bailey. She is one of my favorite female athletes, my favorite fighters in the WWE because one thing about her, she is very smart. She's a very smart and intelligent fighter. However, there is something that is going on with her that she is trying so hard to impress Damage Control so that what? So that she can stay as the leader in her mind, so that they won't kick her out. Why are you trying to prove so much here? I don't know. Maybe you're going to answer this question for me soon, Bailey.
Can I interject?
Or I mean, you're going to anyway, but go ahead, Des.
No, I will not interject unless you say it's okay.
It's okay, Des.
I lied. I was going to do it anyway. So yeah, you actually sound like Mondes, who earlier today, when he was on the bump, he said that Bailey is one of his favorite competitors in the ring, and over the past few years, which just like you just said, and I don't understand why she's still taking these L's to Bianca Belair because we know, well, I know that Bailey's better than Bianca Belair, but it's just a travesty that she's not being portrayed that way. She's being portrayed as someone who is under Bianca Belair, but yet Bailey is one of the original four horsewomen, so she can't be below Bianca Belair. You know, Bianca has to be striving to be like her. So that's my gripe with management, and I digress from there. Back to you, Shane.
Do you see that same thing, Jay? Do you agree with what Des just said?
Well, I feel with Bailey, she's getting the Seth Rollins treatment. We know how she's like. I always view them two like as in the same type of mold. She's a female version of him because she always laughs at people, but when she gets in the ring, she's real like cerebral. She knows what to do. Like you said, the ring smarts are there. Everything is on top for her. But unlike Seth, she's how can I put it? She knows how to carry her game within without having to have a title or feel that she's the number one person. She doesn't need to be the leader of a group. She doesn't need nothing. She just needs to be herself, go back to being a singles competitor as far as group wise, F the groups, and more than likely, I would say the end of the year because she's gonna just probably be fighting damage control for the rest of the year after the split. I can see her being champion by the end of the year or by sometime next year. I don't see none of that now because, like I said, she's getting the Seth Rollins treatment, good without the title.
So let's say she goes back as a solo competitor. Which do you like, this today's Bailey, or do you like the happy huggy Bailey? Start with Jay, and then follow Des.
I like honestly, I like this side of her because we can see her other side, her heel side. And if she goes back to the hugger side, I think she's gonna have a combination of both of what she's learned now and from back then. Because we see now she is kind of stockier, so she's gonna have to carry herself a little bit differently. But I feel like Seth, she's gonna probably come to the ring solo, start laughing, popping her stuff, and be like, "Look, I played all of y'all. I made y'all, and I'm gonna crumble y'all one by one until I get EO for the belt." So like once Dakota Kai is cleared, she's gonna smack Dakota Kai. She's gonna beat her face in. Then she's gonna fight Asuka. It's gonna be like she's gonna go down that whole tree until she gets to where she gotta get to. So this is why I would say sometime in the summer or the end of the year, Bailey will be hugger slash whatever you want to call her now, as far as titles come when it's to her. That's just how I feel about her. I really like her as well. So, you know, take it away, partner.
Well, I already commented basically on something similar like this last week when I stated that the story with all of them changed when Charlotte got hurt. And I originally said that the story that they probably had going was to probably get, if not the four horsewomen together to go against Damage Control. It was gonna, it's three horsewomen and Bianca to go against Damage Control, including Dakota Kai, who should be cleared to wrestle within the next month or so. So now, I'll say this: I see these hood rats, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, um, Asuka, that other trick. I see them doing Bailey dirty in the Royal Rumble, which gives Bailey enough time to realize her wrongs and everything of that nature, and it'll lead to a story with her, maybe like you said, Jay, having to face every member of Damage Control between Royal Rumble, but I say to WrestleMania, because at the end of the day, um, I see Nia Jax winning the Women's Royal Rumble and taking on Rhea Ripley, because obviously if we're paying attention, that's where it seems to be going, because they're already beefing now. And then I see Bailey taking on Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania for night 2 or night 1 or whatever they want to do it. But I see this culminating at WrestleMania for Bailey, because it was always going to be something at WrestleMania, but now at this point it's probably just going to have to be a solo act. So that's my take. Like it or not, Bailey all day.
I like Bailey also, and I totally see that. And for her, I hope that happens because at the end, she'll be women's champion, rightfully deserved. So we're rooting for you, Bailey. We got eyes on you. Speaking of Bailey and friends, we had Bobby and friends. And surprise, surprise, even though all over the internet the word the pride had
Bobby.
already been put out there are Bobby and friends. That's what I'm calling them. And that name fit them perfectly when they came out in those tight ass shirts. I mean, it was so tight that you could see their heart beating through their cleavages. It was super tight with their sleeves rolled up, talking about how they was ready to fight. I don't know how you're gonna fight in those tight ass clothes. But anyway, Bobby was on the mic. He was talking, and not for nothing. Can you imagine, fellas, that meeting when they was told that the name of their fraction was going to be the Pride? I'm sure Bobby was like, "Dude, are you serious?" And then I'm sure that Montez was like, "Dude, come on, man, come on." And the other guy, he was probably like, "But whatever." I'm sure they didn't like the name, but I bet you one thing: I bet they like Bobby and Friends. So anyway, Bobby was on the mic and he was interrupted by the Jumbotron as Karrion Cross and his homegirl Scarlett was talking and she was doing the sexy thing, whatever. And the video package was to officially introduce a new fraction titled The Final Testament. Des, I start with you and Jay to follow. What are your thoughts on this brand new fraction that is in WWE?
Well, first off, I'm happy that they came and actually had a name from jump. That we didn't have to wait for them for 2 months to figure out what their name is. But I think it's cool. It's something that stays within the character of Karrion Cross and Scarlet Witch, aka from Marvel, and also the Authors of Pain. So like it all complements each other. So I'm not mad at the name. And the damage that they did last week to Bobby and Friends was something to be aware of, because they're not easy guys to push over. And I told you guys earlier today that they're gonna want their lick back. So I wasn't surprised that they came out ready to go. There was no um, going towards the crowd and doing all that happy-go-lucky stuff. They were all business. So I think that this is going to turn into something really good. It's needed by both sides because, again, as I stated earlier, if SmackDown had that extra hour, that segment would have probably lasted a little bit longer. But since they got to rush through things, it was what it was. So I'm looking forward to this story. How long this story might go. I think this is something that might go into the summertime, and then again, it might be something that goes into WrestleMania. Because they got to fill 2 nights. So, but either way, I think it'll be good for both teams. It'll be good for Karrion Cross, who needs the crutch. It'll be good for AOP, who's been gone for almost 4 years. So it's good all around. Good business. Like I said last week, it's going to be good business.
Jay Holla.
Uh, First of all, with Bobby and Friends, one thing that wasn't explained or noticed was that Bobby drew his eyebrows back. I ain't seen them in a long time. That was the first thing that I caught. And the fact that they're feuding with these guys, with the new faction that's out, we just gotta hope that Cameron Cross delivers yet again for the third time, because he hasn't delivered yet since he's been on the main roster. Even though, like Des explained last week, he's made other people get better, blah blah blah. He needs to be better as a person, as a wrestler, because this guy was the shit prior to being called up and got the Vince treatment. And, I still kind of see that it's going to be that type of a treatment for him. And I hope it don't go that way. Like with AOP joining them, I don't have confidence in that group. They don't look like they're agile and got those moves like a Otis and a Ivar that, we would want to see from two big men. I think this faction flops, in my opinion.
So sticking on that, Jay, in a tag team match with AOP versus Street Profits or Friends from Bobby and Friends, who do you see winning that?
I think honestly they could have probably given it to AOP because they're supposedly the newer tag team. They need the win. They need momentum type shit. So I think they will give it to them because also Bobby and Friends, all they've been doing is losing. And Bobby's been the one to seems like the guy that has to do the cleanup work when they lose. So yeah, I think AOP gets that, and Bobby probably demolishes Karrion Cross in a one-on-one.
Okay, so all in all, Bobby and Friends can beat Final Testament any day of the week.
No.
Just just
uh,
just Bobby.
I,
Just Bobby.
I told y'all before last Friday when we spoke about this, when we were talking about the story maturing. I said that the first match that they would have, it would be a win by AOP. Well, I guess Final Testament now, because of the fact that they're new and there's something, they have to justify why they brought them back. They can't just start them off with an L. Because when Bobby and Street Profits first got together, they didn't lose, Jay. They were actually winning. They lost most recently, but then again, they don't fight often on the show. Like I said, they're on and off the show. And more recently, when they're on the show, They're not fighting. They're just talking. So it's not much to go off of, but they were winning at one point. They had that situation with LWO. But anyway, like I said, the first meeting that I expect, I don't know what's the name, Final Testament, because I'm thinking of the game Final Destiny. Final Testament. I think they'll get the first. I think they'll get the first win once these two teams go against each other. But we already know how WWE works. It'll probably be a bunch of singles matches first, and it'll probably be maybe 2-on-2 here, and then it'll eventually lead to 3-on-3. But I think AOP and Karen Cross will get the first victory in this story, and then it'll just go on from there.
Shane, I got a hot take for you real quick. I got a hot take for you, Shane. Do you
Go
think
right ahead.
with the do you think with the addition of Final Testament being a three-man group, do you think that Triple H is leading into making it like a trios tag titles for WWE?
Hmm. As in 3 men tag team champions. Is that what we're promoting? 3 men tag team
Yeah,
champs?
yes, sir. Because there's too many like three-man groups with a female nowadays that I'm peeping from all areas of the board. You kind of see it on both sides of the brands. From Judgment Day. You go to NXT. You got the two Italian guys with their girl, and eventually they're gonna get their other mafia guy. You can see it building slowly as far as amongst like the groups, Bobby and Friends. You know, Alpha Academy, their three-man group. We're kind of seeing it now. So I'm always been thinking like, when is Triple H going to introduce us to this? Will it be at Mania, or will it be at a pay-per-view like a Night of Champions type shit?
What say you, Des?
Okay, toss it to me, no problem. Jay, no. Let's just no. It's a no. Jay, we're not AEW. It would look foolish for them to even do something like that because they would be acknowledging their competition, AEW, who already has a trios championship. What would you call that? And secondly, we already had a group of 3 people that defended the tag team championships before without anybody complaining about it. You forgot about the New Day? All 3 of them were tag team champions at the same time, and you got different combinations of them defending the tag team titles at different times. So don't forget that. I would not expect Triple H to have create a trios championship because that's literally just copying off of people that you don't acknowledge. I don't see that happening. And secondly, they still had to figure out a way to break up the actual tag team titles for both shows. So yes, it's a coincidence that it's 3-man teams on maybe a handful of 3-man teams on certain shows, but again, I don't. Bobby and Friends are not an actual trios. Bobby already he made it known he wants a singles title, and the two, the Street Profits, they want their tag titles. And come on, Tozawa is not a real threat to anybody. Like, bro, no, I'm sorry, it's a no for me.
I don't know. Did that insulting response was insulting to you, Jay?
Nah, no way, no how. That's not insulting to me because you know I'm just a fan of wrestling in general. So if I'm seeing something, it's just a thought in mind. Like, what if Triple H decides to do something like this just because there's so many three-man groups? I understand what the New Day did, but nobody's doing it now. Because if that was the case, then Dom should have filled in for Finn, or JD McDonough could have filled in for Priest, as
But
far as
that,
being their
that's a
tag groups or whatnot. But they're not
that's a
doing it. They're not the New Day. The New
they're,
Day
they're
is.
not a triplet though. That's a quadruple. That's 4 people, not 3. That's 4.
That's why R-Truth says what he says. Get this guy out of here.
But
He's
it's the
not a
same
real
thing.
member.
But
He'll be a three
even
man.
you in, that's 4 people, not 3. It's 4 guys. So no, it's not the same thing as the New Day. It's not.
But there's still other groups that have 3 guys, and they'll probably use 3 guys because of the fact is, they say they lose their tag belts and Priest wins the Money in the Bank. He's a solo now. He's a solo tag champ. So those other 3 could just easily branch off because look, we still got the LWO. We still got Santos and his 2 guys now. It's like everybody's 3-manning, if you notice it at the moment. I may be blind, but this is what I'm seeing. So we seeing 6-man tags here, 6-man tags there. And then that main event that we had tonight, that 6-man tag, you know, or whatever you
It's
want to call it, to where
it's
these
5 men.
guys is 5 men. Yeah, but you seen that 3-man group, and that 3-man group worked without actually messing up.
They're
And you
not
can
a group.
imagine them. I
Three
know,
opponent
I know that.
team together.
I
This is
know,
come on now.
I
Come on.
know, I know. But we as fans, we can imagine what if. We just can't sit and watch an episode and just be like, okay, fine, they're 3 guys together. We're gonna sit back sometimes and visualize like, damn, a couple of years ago, imagine putting these 3 guys together as a team. It will be crazy.
Shane, I don't know. What do you think about this nonsense that he is spewing? Because it's not making any sense to me. Every 3-man group that he is talking about, there is one person in that group that wants to go for a singles title, but yet he's omitting that. So Shane, what do you think? What do you think, bro? Think about it. Alpha Academy was Chad Gable not just going for the Intercontinental Championship? He wasn't talking about the tag titles. He was talking about the Intercontinental title. Isn't
And what
Santos?
happened after that?
Wasn't Santos trying to go for the U.S. title before Rey Mysterio came in and got the win? Come on
And
now,
what happened after that? And what happened after that? They
he
basically
still
now he's not going
he
after that with Logan Paul, the champion.
but the intention was that he was trying to be a singles champion. Shane,
Trying,
I need
trying.
you. Shane, please
Not
make sense of
anymore.
it, Shane.
I'll end this by saying this because, of course, you both bring up good points, which is open for discussion and which is open for possibilities. The fact that it is a chance that there can be because there are enough competitors to have a 3 belt tag team champ. But then at the same time, what you said, Des, this has already happened on another label, which is currently already happening at another label. And a lot of these 3 men or 4 men fractions or partners or whatever you want to call it, only 2 of them are fighting, and the other one's is probably a manager, the other one is in the back, whatever. But again, at the end, this is a Triple H era. It can go either way. Whew. Inhale, exhale, inhale. And it's not idiotic. It's just a what if des, which is totally fine, Jay. Which is why I said what I said. So we all happy now? One
I
big
said
group hug. Group hug. Okay, now get off. Get
no,
off me.
no. I said what I said, and I stick by it.
Yes,
Wonder.
you should. You both should stick by what you're saying. I'm not telling you guys to change your minds. I'm just saying that in this Triple H era, anything can happen. But you're both right. You're right, Des, and Triple J, you're right also in terms of everything that is happening that come to that conclusion. Hey, what if we can have that? That's what Jay was trying to say.
So, but
Because
Shane,
of the ammunition that's there, that it's possible. Will it
but
happen?
Shane,
We don't know. But
you
it
didn't.
was there
You didn't
enough.
You didn't address my question though. I also asked you then what will happen with the tag team titles because they have yet to break those belts up. So now what? We got a Raw tag team title, SmackDown tag team titles, and now another tag team. Like, what are we doing? We don't even have that many tag teams on the 2 shows to have that many belts.
What are you saying? Like a Raw tag team, a SmackDown tag team, and then a 3 tag team?
That's
Like
exactly
like
what he's
three
saying.
sets?
That's what he's saying. What I'm saying is they have yet to address the problem
What?
having a set of Raw tag team titles and then a set of SmackDown tag team titles, and now he's introducing to have a trios tag team title. Like, bro, we haven't even addressed the first problem yet. So now we're supposed to go with all these belts. We don't even have enough tag teams for all of those belts.
That
If
wasn't.
you
Is
if
that
you
what you was implying, Jay?
no, no, I didn't say to
No.
split up the regular tag team belts. No, I'm saying if they're undisputed, they stay undisputed.
No, but
I'm
that's
not
what we.
like
But we've been
no, but
talking
look,
about that for how many weeks? We've been talking about that for how many shows now? That the issue is that they need to break up the tag team titles because it's too many tag teams on both shows for only one champion to have a go at them at a time, and it makes them irrelevant. So now we're
but
saying
if
that it's
you
keep it because it's like it's 2 different things.
Well, obviously, you would have to get rid of those 2 titles in order to have this one 3 man title. You can't have both or three. It would have to be either 2 men tag teams or a 3 man tag team. But it
So
can't be both.
would we not be in the same situation that we're in now, where it's just one team with all the belts and 1,000 different tag teams fighting on 2 brands with just fighting? That's the same situation we're in now.
Well, that situation that has to be addressed. Triple H definitely has to do something about splitting these titles up because again, there are a lot of factions that's starting to develop
That's
and a
that's
lot of
what I'm
strong tag
saying.
teams.
We haven't even that's what I'm saying. We haven't even addressed that problem yet because of the fact that there's so many tag teams and they're really good. Each team is really good, but yet it's like they get lost because they're fighting for nothing. So now we're gonna add 3 more belts in, and then now we have what, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 belts, and it's like, how's that gonna work? That's all I'm saying. Make it work.
Jay, come here, Jay. Come here, Jay. I know.
I'm
Give me a hug,
I'm right
man.
here. I'm
Give,
right
give,
here.
give me a hug,
I'm
man.
right here.
I got you, bro. I got you. It's
Wait,
okay.
can I
I
ask you something?
Shane understand.
Shane,
Sure,
Shane, can I ask you something?
sure.
Ain't Priest and Balor undisputed champions like Roman Reigns undisputed champion? So
Yeah.
why not just make those two belts combined? Make the Raw and the SmackDown title, put it combined and have a similar title to what Roman has. You feel me? An undisputed tag title, and let them freely go on both shows as they've been doing. They could go to Raw, they could go to SmackDown. It doesn't matter. You feel me? I feel like if there's an addition of a trios, then the trios, like I said before in another chat that we had, maybe they should do it to where this includes the NXT guys because now we're getting more NXT guys into the flow of things. And this could be a food for thought maybe towards the end of the year when, as Dad said earlier, the 3 hour thing. Maybe that could be incorporated into a third hour because now all these NXT guys are on SmackDown. We got Mello fighting tonight. He had his. We got Wilder, another NXT guy. Pretty Deadly can't even damn near get TV time because all this bloodline stuff and all this other stuff that they're being blocked by. You know, that we just see so much that we could just sit back and think, is this a plan for when SmackDown goes to cable? Is it going to be a 3 hour show? Can we introduce new belts? Can we introduce a new women's intercontinental champion? You feel me? There's a lot of thoughts probably going into what they could do later on. So probably the thought of everything now is making us think about a 3 man title because of how everything is flowing throughout the whole thing from NXT to Raw to SmackDown. Everybody's gang gang, as they would say here in the hood. Later.
I'm glad you said that because this was a side question that I wanted to ask you because we was discussing this on our chat about a possible home or new home for SmackDown. We talked about how SmackDown should be a 3 hour show with so much that's going on, but Fox can't hold 3 hours because at their 10 o'clock hour, they do the news. And they've been doing the news like forever at 10 o'clock to compete with other channels who also has 10 o'clock slot news. And then they have their syndicate shows at 11 o'clock. So that's why Fox is out of that discussion. Then again, NBC, they're possible. And NBC would actually make sense because they own Peacock. And Peacock is part of, well, excuse me, WWE has their own little tab on the Peacock app. So it kind of makes sense for them to get married. But then also, Amazon is in the picture, USA is on the picture, runs runs Raw on Mondays. So here's my question to you guys. What would be a good network for SmackDown to appear moving forward? Start with you, Des, and follow with Jay.
If I'm not mistaken, Shane, I believe USA already acquired the rights to WWE SmackDown. If I'm not mistaken, the only things that's still up for grabs right now is Monday Night Raw and NXT. Guys, if y'all can double check that for me, but I believe that's the only domino that has already dropped, which is why I asked the question initially: should SmackDown go to 3 hours because it's going to be on the USA Network? If they can accommodate it, because all they show is pretty much syndicated stuff, unless it's after Monday Night Raw. But I think USA would be the best bet. They already understand the formula of WWE. They understand what's needed to go ahead of WWE and what comes after WWE. It's smart to put a Law and Order or something like that before WWE so you can build the audience. And then behind WWE, it's smart to put a brand new show like that bar show. So I think the best network to carry SmackDown moving forward would be USA or Universal NBC Universal. which I believe they already acquired the rights to for SmackDown. I believe it starts next year or at the end of this year. Um, so yeah, that was for me. That's what my thoughts are. But again, like guys, if you guys were able to check those stats out ahead of time, I'll pass it on to you, back to you, Shane, so you can pass it on to Jay.
Well, from what I'm seeing, Des, you're correct. USA does have the rights to SmackDown, which will be in the first season of the year. I mean, the first time of the year, first spot of the year for them, like October. They're talking about the first quarter of the ratings year. That's when they'll have it. And NXT will be no longer on USA. They will be on Channel 11 on the CW coming October as well.
Right, you're right. You're right. I forgot about that because they are for some. CW is building like a wrestling night or whatever program or whatever they're doing, a department over there. So yes, you're right. This stuff. We watch so much and we learn so much. You forget, but I completely forgot about that. Raw was the only one that's still up for grabs, which is crazy. But back to you, bro.
Saying CW Channel 11. If I'm not mistaken, back in the days when WW, it was actually called WWF, when they had they used to be on Saturdays at 12, like either 11 or 12 o'clock, 11 or 12 o'clock, and they would actually show on Channel 11. I think it was Channel 11.
It was
So,
it was 11 at first in the like late 80s, and then
uh-huh,
channel and then WWOR Channel 9 took
Channel
it.
9.
Yeah, I remember Channel 9 took it. And then it went to Fox at one point, then back to 9 when it went to UPN for SmackDown. And then they
Okay.
started the cable. Then they started that little cable trend, like on the Nashville network and Spike and all of that stuff, when they couldn't find legit channels for their brands. And it seems like all three are going to be on separate channels. And to me, it's like, I gotta go from here to there to here. I like stability. I'm one of those type of guys. So, all kudos to the channels or whoever's inquiring them. But if they're gonna keep them, let them be at home for a long time because I enjoy wrestling being on Fox, but I was like you said, Fox got the 10 o'clock news, so they can't ever add a third hour because of that. So me like for me, and I'll want to put it on Channel 4 like back in the days, like how we used to get Saturday night main event on a late Saturday night, and we would get the best of the best matches on a Saturday night, but they will give us an early morning show at like 10, 11 in the morning, and we're like, oh snap! So we already got a preview of the main event from 11 o'clock in the morning. It used to be so wild growing up watching it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was saying all of that to say that in terms of CW11, this is not like brand new to them because they have done this before. And you're right, because back when it was like on Channel 9 and Channel 11, all of the big name stars would fight these little jobbers that was found like, I don't know, probably like on the border or something like that and say, hey, ¿qué pasó? Hey, why don't you come fight for 5 pesos? And they would come in and they would get hit a couple times and that was the match. And then you got a commercial. But then you had the main event, 11:30, Channel 4, once every month. That's when you get to see a big name versus a big name. But you had to wait a whole month. Oh, the good old days, the good old days. By the way, if anybody is watching, feel free to leave us with a question, or if you have any thoughts or just want to say hi, feel free to leave a voice message. We would love to hear from you. Speaking of loving to hear and see, our boy, our homie, Mr. Mello from NXT, he came by and said hi to us on SmackDown. And while he was talking with the general manager, here comes Mr. Theory and his buddy. They coming in and talking their smack. Mello had to stand up. They had to put them in his place. And next thing you know, we have a match with Mello versus Theory. It was a good match until something unfortunately happened from the top rope. It seems like they both oddly landed on the back of their necks. And you can tell that it was something not good because the referee threw up the X sign. So, us wrestling fans, we all know that when an X sign is held by a ref, that means that's it, the match is over, something is wrong, bring out the medics. Starting with you, Des, and then Jay to follow, what are your thoughts on this match, as well as your reaction when you saw that X, if you've even noticed the X from that match, Des?
Well, as I told you guys, I was kind of behind y'all most of the night, and I was behind y'all on that match. So before it even appeared on my television, um, in the chat, I seen you mention it, Shane. So I was looking out for it. But I'm saddened because it was a good match. I'm a Mellow fan, as y'all know. Excuse me. I'm a Mellow fan, and I like when he gets his opportunities. I'm loving the fact that he keeps getting opportunities on SmackDown, because obviously when he's being shown on SmackDown, ratings must be going up, which is why he keeps getting put on SmackDown. But yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't get to finish the match. It looked like Theory didn't get enough momentum and air from the move that he was trying to do, and it looked like they clashed heads. Honestly, on the way down, it looked like both of them hit their heads on each other, as well as hitting their heads on the mat. And so, it was pretty ugly. And sad ending. For two very young talents, the fact that they have to be, it's real life, actual doctors coming to the ring to check on them, because you don't want anybody to get hurt. And so, I wish the match would have finished the way that it was scripted to finish, but at the end of the day, these guys' health is more important than anything, more important than entertainment. So I wish the best for both of them. I hope that neither one of them have to take off more time than needed. Uh, Again, because we're supposed to get a match with Mello and Trick on Tuesday at NXT, and hopefully Theory will be ready to return by Friday. So prayers up to them, and that's all I got to say.
Oh man, for the second, maybe yeah, I think second or the third, the past 3 weeks we've gotten to see this, and it just sucks to see, like when it happened to Vinci on Raw, and now we get it, on SmackDown. It was a great match all the way. Melo had the fans behind him. We was hearing the chants. He did the fadeaway leg drop, which was crazy. Then he did the DDT on the outside of the ropes. Bow, like both guys were delivering, and to see how it ended, it was sad because I know both guys came with their A game and they were both clean with everything that they was doing. Like Des said, we wish there was a better outcome that was scripted. We wanted to see it, and hopefully these guys are ready by the Rumble. Let's pray and hope that this is something that's not going to last long with them, because we want to see them out there and we want to see them wrestle, because they are the future of WWE at the moment. So at any moment that we see something like this happen, we just got to sit back and hope for the best between these young guys. Shane?
Well put, well said by both you, Des, and Jay. Here's a quick question for you, Jay, being that you're our NXT guy. So, Mello and Theory, do they have a pre-existing like relationship with NXT? Like we know that Mello's with NXT. Was Theory from NXT also, and did they have like matches in NXT?
That I can recall maybe once. I would think of, but the thing was, no, I don't think so, because the first time he was in NXT, he was by himself. As far as Theory, Theory seemed like he got rushed to the big boy show too quick, because when he did get called up, they put him on Seth's side, and it didn't work out with Seth. Then they put him with Selena Vega and Andrade and and that didn't work. So they shifted him back to NXT and put him with Gargano and Champa and his wife and Indy Hartwell, and they were called The Way. So, before Theory came back, he was a part of that group, and he was still trying to find himself within that part. So him and Melo never really crossed, because he was more NXT 2.0, you know, and he was part of the Black and Gold before it turned as well with Theory.
Can I just?
Melo came. Talk to me.
I'm sorry, Jay. No, finish your thought.
No, no, I was saying like with Melo. Melo came in like at the end of the 2.0, like a little bit in the middle of it. That's when they introduced us with him, Braun Breaker, and and Waller, and all these other guys. So even like with Finn, Finn was the 2.0 and the end of the Black and Gold before he got his call up as well.
What I wanted to add to that was, Shane, if you remember when we was at Survivor Series, I agree with Jay. Obviously, Theory got called up too quick to the main roster because Vince was in charge at the time, which is why he was Vince's boy when he first came up, and he was getting all those angles and everything with Vince. So, Triple H is kind of like stuck with him on the main roster. But you saw what happened as soon as Vince left. Theory lost his Money in the Bank, and he lost the U.S. title. He lost all that stuff because honestly, Triple H is probably like thinking like this dude still needs to be in NXT and work his way to the main roster. So that's what I think is happening with Theory right now. He is basically being treated like a rookie, as rightfully so. I mean, obviously, but the move that he attempted tonight, which didn't go the right way, is part of the reason why he isn't a champion right now. He's not in a championship run. He's just on the show being a supporting character. So that's just my thoughts on it. Just wanted to make that clear.
That's very interesting. Interesting. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I'm trying to look and see if we have any updates on either Mello or Theory. And they are saying, according to Wrestler Observer, is saying that the two are, quote, okay. It said that WWE announced that Carmelo Hayes and Theory suffered face contusions and will both be okay. So that's good news moving forward. At least that they're all right. Because I'll tell you one thing: you look back at that replay, Theory's neck is as red as the Bloodlines T-shirt. So it's good to see that they're doing okay. And we hope to see you guys soon, especially you, Mello, because you do have a tag team bout on NXT Tuesday. Jay will talk about more on that on his Tuesday show. Speaking of Bloodlines, here we go, fellas. This is the main event we're talking about. We're talking about the Bloodline. We're talking
Shane,
about AJ Styles. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I know that's my thing, but in all honestly, I just want to shout out my boy Coast for showing up in the listeners box. Thank you, Coast, for showing love. King, I see you just joined in. Thanks for joining us, bro. I want to shout out the earlier people that was on the show. My boy Clark, Nicole, she was on here for us for the first hour or so. So just want to shout out everybody that was showing up and listening. They might not, they may have not have questions for us, but thank y'all for showing up. Wolf, same thing with you. I saw you earlier as well. So thank y'all. Shane, on you, my man.
Yes, thank you so much for interrupting while I was in the middle of a letter of a sentence in the middle of a letter of a sentence. Thank you for saying that instead of waiting for the period and then go, Shane. Shane
Jesus.
drinks water.
Look,
Shane puts down cup.
look,
Shane restarts his
and
main event
ever
line.
y'all don't ever end. You guys always put commas on everything. You guys don't put periods, all right? That's just okay. You guys don't y'all put commas on everything and no periods. So I don't know when you're gonna be done. All right, I'm just gonna say that. All right?
hmm Anyway, shout out to every single person that has joined in today, as well as a special shout out to Coast the Ghost, King Planet, to everyone that has joined in. Since research, we saw you pop in. Thank you so much. So we're going to the main event, fellas. The Bloodline versus AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. Mr. Older than older Randy Orton. Mr. Takes his time to walk down the ring, Orton, as if he has an invisible cane and he can't find where he's going. Why does this man walk so slow? Are you trying to be majestic also? That was probably the reason why you got sucker snuffed before you hit the ring. You should have known that something was going to happen because of that slow little walk of yours. So you kind of asked for it. You asked for it and you got it. So this 3-on-2 match, for a while anyway, became a 2-on-2 match. And then Randy decides to get his Benadryl, whatever it is that he had to take his medication in order to get a little bit of strength back. Because when he came back, he was still rubbing his neck like, owie, owie, I can fight, but I still hurt. But we saw what happened. It was a match. Des, I'll start with you and then end with Jay. What do you guys think of the main event that happened tonight?
Well, as you said earlier tonight, the task that Paul Heyman bestowed upon himself was to find a third team member for the Bloodline, Jimmy and Solo, which he failed to do because, again, like I said, don't nobody want to team with them. They done assaulted everybody in the last 3 to 4 years, so nobody wants to team with, with those guys. I found the match very interesting because AJ Styles was in the match the majority of the time, and when he had a chance to tag in LA Knight, who he despises, he didn't do it. And LA was like, look, tag me in while you have the chance. And AJ's like, you're going to screw me over. And then what happens? He never tagged him in. He gets kicked. Well, he, meaning LA Knight, gets kicked in the face, knocked off the apron. And, the bloodline was taken over. And that's when Randy came back to the ring. And, he did his part-time wrestler situation where he got the hot tag and he took over the match to the end. I think it was a good match. The ending of the match to me was rightful. It was a pay you back, a receipt for what we saw last Friday when the Bloodline came and interrupted the triple threat match and just caused a whole bunch of chaos at the end of the show. So it was only right that those three guys did the same to Solo and Jimmy, and I enjoyed every minute of it because I used to be a Bloodline fan, but I'm no longer a Bloodline fan, especially now that Jay and Sammy are no longer a part of it. And everything served them right. The most interesting part of that beatdown at the end of the match was the shield bomb that they did on Solo Sikoa when all three of them power bombed Solo through the announce table. And Corey, if he was the lead announcer, he would have said it. But him being the side person, he just said, "Oh, he knew it too. He's seen it." And it was something that went unspoken, but we all knew what it was. That was a shot clearly at Roman, and yeah, that's my take on that. What say you, Triple J?
What, bro? That ending of that match was crazy. I loved every second of it because, after a while, you got to see LA Knight and AJ actually work together with the slap, the slap, punch. They was going back and forth with it until they got Solo out. And then at the end that we got that shield bomb was wild. I was just hoping LA Knight kind of did the ooh wah at the end of that so that, to get the crowd even more hyped. But you was already hyped because of the fact was they was just demolishing both of them, both Jimmy and and Solo for once. And I was happy to actually to see that because we're used to as fans seeing the bloodline just run through everything and everybody. And now that you got, three powerhouses together as a team working together, they're like, you know what? It's a one night only thing, one night stand. Let's beat their ass. And that's what they came to do. They came, they delivered, and they ended the right way that it was supposed to be. I was just hoping maybe they could have grabbed Paul Heyman and just probably chucked him in there and just beat him up at the same time to really deliver that message before he said, call Roman Reigns. They should have just grabbed him and just beat his ass behind it also. That would have made the night even better for me.
I
Shane,
saw a display of bullying. The way they treated that poor Solo. All three of those guys putting that poor young man through that table like that. Ugh, I felt so bad for him. He's probably in a hospital crying right now with table bits on the back of his back and his neck. They tore that little man up. Poor guy. But as you know, revenge is best served cold. And we're not going to hear the last of Mr. Solo and Mr. Jimmy, for they are going to come back because that's the one thing about the bloodline. You may beat them, but they will definitely come back. And I am waiting for that to happen. But all in all, yes, it was very entertaining. And I would say that this week's SmackDown was way better than last week's. Same amount of commercials, but it was a little bit better. All in all, what say you? All in all, what say you, Des, followed by Jay?
see, Shane, see what I'm talking about?
But
You don't believe in periods. You believe in commas. Again, I thought you were done, but then you put a comma on it and you kept going because I had a question for the both of y'all. I'm gonna ask my question now, whether you like it or not. My question is: watching the three amigos for tonight, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and AJ Styles working together, do you believe in what Paul Heyman said earlier in the night, where he said that a fatal four-way match basically guarantees that Roman Reigns will lose his title at Royal Rumble? So I'll start with you, Shane. Do you believe that? And then we'll go with Jay after that. Go ahead, Shane. Shoot. And don't forget your periods after the comments.
it's funny that you talk about my periods and commas because you knew exactly when to start your statement, which was after my period. And you answered in the perfect timing. Yet you say that at the perfect time. Shane, take a sip. Shane, put his cup down. Shane said his first line. So basically, that's what the four-way match is about. Yes, you're a champ, and you going literally against three other opponents, all wanting that one champion, that one belt. So regardless of you being pinned or not, you could lose your title. So basically, LA Knight can pin Randy, he could win. Same for Randy and same for AJ. And Roman Reigns could be laid out on the side of the ring and could literally lose the belt. Is that the definition of a four-man tag team, Des?
Well, as a fatal four way, yes, it's the same thing as a triple threat match. The champion does not have to be pinned to lose his belt, which is why Paul Heyman is so concerned, because Roman doesn't have to be in the decision to lose his belt. He can be on the outside, and Randy Orton could hit LA Knight with an RKO, and it'll be over. Jay, go ahead. What do you think? Do you think what Paul Heyman said is truthful?
Uh, I don't think it's really truthful. I think he's just more or less letting us know, like, look, he has a 25% chance of winning, but he's good. He's gonna supposedly lose it. So he has us thinking like, yeah, he's gonna lose. No, that's manipulation. Because the fact is, we know who's winning. We already know who's. Come on, Roman's not losing. He's gonna stack all of them, one on top of the other, and beat them up. If they ban the bloodline from the ring, it's best to believe there's a plan B. And that plan B is already in effect that we don't even know, because we know Triple H always has a plan B behind everything. So with Nick Aldis, what's going to probably happen in the next week or the following week, we're going to hear Bloodline banned from ringside. So watch the plan B. Somebody else is going to come. Maybe a new family member, maybe a new wrestler coming, period. Something is brewing because Roman's not losing. Straight up. That's all I got to say.
Now, all right. You actually hit on something that I was actually going to ask. With the type of GM that we have on SmackDown, who is not afraid to go toe to toe with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns, I was going to ask, do you think that next week during their contract signing, that he would um, implement a ban on the Bloodline? So that again, a match isn't interrupted by interference from the Bloodline. But you already put your input in, Shane. What do you say?
My question is for these type of matches, there is usually no disqualifications, no countouts. Yes, it's only win by pinfall.
Correct. You can't disqualify anybody. There's too many guys in the ring.
And in the case of a contract match, which you're saying this is going to be for next week, part of the contract would be no bloodlines anywhere near the ring, correct?
Well, what I'm saying is that it'll be in the there we've seen plenty of contract signings, but I'm saying that you know with the type of GM that SmackDown has, who's not afraid of these guys, he'll say maybe after they sign the contract, oh, by the way, Jimmy and Solo are banned from the ring, or they'll be escorted out of the arena, you know, as a stipulation. Where we kind of seen that at WrestleMania last year, where the referee tossed Solo out, but we saw that he returned at the end of the match and wound up costing Cody the belt. But I'm just saying that it'll be something that will be announced next week during the contract signing.
So do we really think? Let's put this scenario in play. Let's say in the contract that there is no interference from anyone. It's a straight up four-way match, and the winner gets the title. Does Roman Reigns has a chance to win? Without the fact that the bloodline won't be anywhere near the ring. It's just him all by himself. We don't even have Paul Heyman there. It's just him by himself against AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. Does he have a chance, Des? Does he have a chance, Jay?
Um, what confuses the situation is the whole topic of The Rock. That confuses everything, because if The Rock didn't interject himself last week into this whole conversation, then it would be a different answer. I would say, okay, maybe he does lose, but since they interjected The Rock into this situation, now it's like, okay, there's no reason for him to lose, because again, like I've been saying for days and whatever like that, in conversations, the point is that whoever beats Roman, it'll be special because of who he's beaten in his run as champion this entire time. So he can't lose twice because it's like the same thing with the streak. Once you beat the Undertaker, that's it. Like you are the guy. When Roman beat the Undertaker, for his second loss, it's like, oh, okay, cool. You don't really care about number two. Whoever number one is, that's the guy. So that's my take on that. Right, since The Rock is interjected into this, in all honesty, like Jay said, I don't see Roman losing, but how he wins is the question that we all want to have. Shane, we have a incoming message.
Yes, I see that message, and let's play that quick fast, and then Jay, you'll say your piece on that question. So here's Tristan.
All right. I'm sorry for the lateness. I had to catch up. I had work. I was telling many people where the carrots are, where the pasta is, but I just finished it. And since y'all on the main event topic, I do like the build of the team of LA Knight and AJ Styles being dysfunctional to show their their hungriness to win the title match in a fatal four-way in Royal Rumble against Roman Reigns. And I do love the return of Randy Orton in the match to show, you know, the strength of the match and putting an exclamation point for putting Solo in a triple man powerbomb through the table. And it shows just the script of everything.
Go
Um,
ahead, Dez.
don't you sound down on me? You understand that? Don't you sound down on me? Uh, I
Okay,
was
then
just
let me
gonna
rephrase. Go ahead, Dez.
much better. I was just gonna say to Trish Rollins that with his insight, I feel that this rivalry between LA Knight and AJ Styles is gonna probably be partial of the reason why they lose the match at Royal Rumble, which will lead to their own storyline going into Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania down the line. You know, again, it's 2 nights. You got to fill 2 nights worth of matches, and I think that might be something to look forward to down the line. But I digress from there. Shane,
Thank you. Thank you, Dez. Thank you. Triple J, what say you, Trip?
Well, what I'm gonna say has already probably been said. We know I already feel, and just by the thoughts of my heart, Roman's not losing at all. We could just, sit back, think, relax, and wonder how is this gonna happen and who he's gonna pin. I feel he's gonna probably pin two or maybe all of them at the same time. But as Des was saying, LA Knight got his own beef with AJ, so they might eliminate each other by probably trying to fight in the crowd or something to give it only between Randy and Roman together as it was supposed to be originally. Because in my eyes, Randy's probably like, "Yo, I didn't sign to SmackDown for this, all this. You signed me specifically because you told me I was getting the bloodline first. You
yes,
added these guys to my stipulation, to my match.
correct, correct, bro. Yes, preach, preach.
So that's the whole thing I'm going at about it is these two guys are going to eliminate each other and leave these two one on one in the ring together as it was supposed to be. And someone's going to still find a way to get in the ring and mess it up for Randy. It might be someone who's a rival of Randy's that doesn't really like him too much that has to get into this. Maybe an Andrade sneaks in during that match. I don't like you, or somebody in general comes and messes it all up. This is my prediction for that whole match in order to keep the belt on Roman. Roman's gonna glow and talk. He's gonna pretty much be the guy still. He's not losing. Let's just go on to Elimination Chamber with that.
Question. I,
Go ahead, Dez.
I heard a period, so question. This is for. We'll go with Tristan first because you're in the voice notes. Then I'll go with Jay and then Shane. Do we expect? Well, obviously we expect Roman to win at Royal Rumble, but do we expect an appearance by The Rock at the end of Royal Rumble? And matter of fact, let's start it off
Hmm.
with Shane. Shane, we'll start with you. We'll go to Jay, and then we'll go with Tristan because he's not on the live panel right now.
To see The Rock, to see The Rock, what to interfere so that Roman loses the title, to see The Rock to help Roman keep the title so that he can have a chance at it when they go at it.
No, no. What I'm saying is basically it'll be a full circle moment from when Roman won the Royal Rumble years ago, and the fans were booing the hell out of him, and then The Rock came out to raise his hands, to try to get the fans to turn and cheer, but they booed him. I'm saying after Roman wins at Royal Rumble, will we get an appearance from The Rock, basically putting us on the road to WrestleMania of The Rock trying to sit at the head of the table and challenging Roman without saying it.
Right. And that's why I was saying, what if scenarios before you cut me off before I got my period in. But speaking of periods, we have another message. Here's Tristan.
All right, me personally, I kind of do expect an appearance by The Rock, but it won't happen until after the match. Of course, the whole match, Roman is going to stand strong. But personally, I believe that, during the match, it's going to create interviews, like I said, between AJ Styles, LA Knight, and then Randy Orton is just going to get screwed in the mix of it. But I do think, like, The Rock might make an appearance, but do I think it's the right time? No, I do believe The Rock and Roman was supposed to be anticipated for the Mania match in Philadelphia this year. So I think that Royal Rumble, but maybe Elimination Chamber, that's when the build up should be sweetened in Royal Rumble.
Interesting. What say you, Jay?
Well, I kind of see it to the point where, as soon as Roman throws the title in the air, is when the moment we hear The Rock. And The Rock's gonna just probably stand right there down the ramp, look at him, give him the point, point at the WrestleMania sign, and then just goes off into the horizon. And that's the build up that we see right then and there. Because they already said Roman's not could it be a part of Elimination Chamber already. They already said that maybe yesterday or the day before yesterday. So, the whole Elimination Chamber thing is to build up Rhea Ripley because she's at home. This is going to be a build up for a guy like Grayson Waller because he's Australian, you know, and maybe for a guy like Bronson Reed, he's Australian. This is what we got to look for now: is all the main Australian people that are into some type of beef or anything, and this is the chance now they're giving for the female to take lead for next month. So, the build up for Roman and Rock is definitely going to happen at the end of Rumble. Or, like, I'll ask you this question though, Shane. Do you think that match should be the opening match to give the other guys a chance to still be in the Rumble at the end?
What, you mean a match with Roman Reigns in it?
Whoever loses in the Rumble, I mean, whoever loses in the Fatal Four Way, those three competitors that lost, do you allow them to be in the Rumble later? So would you kick this match off first as the first match of the night, or as the main event?
I mean, Roman Reigns is in it. Randy Orton's in it. So these are your top fighters, especially if it's Roman in it. Roman always closes. He's never like in the middle or he opens. He always closes. Unless you see something different, Jay, followed by Dez or anybody that's in the room. If you could leave a message with your thoughts or questions, do you guys agree, or do you see them opening or possibly having a match in the middle of the night? We do have a message. Let's listen. It's Tristan.
However, I do think though, Elimination Chamber is another premier, event pay per view for where the title holders have to participate, and I do think he should be able to participate to where he can't have that chance of not performing. I do think he should be in the Elimination Chamber, to create more hype to show that this is an unstoppable man. Obviously, he's bringing it to Mania, to where it's like whether The Rock comes at Royal Rumble, the Raw at the Royal Rumble, or SmackDown at the Royal Rumble, I do think that in between the lines, like Elimination Chamber, Roman Reigns should have a match, and I do think some controversial thing happened to where it leads up to him and Rock at Mania, because that was the angle that was supposed to be angle for last year. Now they capitalize on this year. So
Any thoughts on what Tristan just said, fellas? Dez, Jay.
First off, okay, Jay, with what Jay said, I believe we saw that last year. Last year was a controversial Royal Rumble because of the fact that we witnessed Brock Lesnar lose, and then he ended up in the Royal Rumble. And well, not last year, the year before, we seen it where he lost, and then he ended up in the Royal Rumble and he won, and that left a sour taste in everybody's mouth because it was just like, what, like, how are we wasting number 30 on you? And it just didn't go over well. So, and then with Roman Reigns, he doesn't start the show; he ends the show. You know, it's not typical WWE, WWF where they have the title match after the Rumble, but it makes sense, you know, because at the end of the day, most of the WWE fans predict that the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to go after the World Heavyweight title, which will be probably CM Punk. So I don't agree with that. Um, and with Tristan, I'm sorry, I personally was in a separate chat while his voice note was being played, so I didn't actually hear it. So I do apologize about that. So I can't comment on it. Maybe one of y'all could just give me feedback on what he said, and then I can comment on that.
Okay, so Jay, would you like to quickly answer that, and then we can respond to the 2 texts that we just received?
Well, what Tristan was basically letting us know was that he he wants a little bit more of them to have a build up to the show. So why not have Roman added to the card at Elimination Chamber? You know, me, the way I see that part build up is because if they're gonna do it after the Rumble, if they're gonna do it after that fight in the Rumble, I think it's only to get The Rock to train probably for these 6 to 8 weeks because we all know Rock is in his 50s. Probably can't keep up with a guy like Roman in the ring. So it's going to take him, getting some cardio work in. Probably has to take some time off from a movie. He needs time to get into the mood of being in script all over again with being a WWE wrestler. So how you got to think? Does it take him 3 weeks? Does it take him 4 weeks? Or maybe does he need the whole time to be with Roman in order to make the match work? So he can be like, okay, fine, Roman. This is when you clothesline me. This is when you spear me. This is when I rock bottom you, and this and this and that. We already probably know that it's going to be anywhere from a 15 to an 18-minute match because probably The Rock can't hold up past 25 minutes. So we all got to think about you know just everything in general between the two guys. Because Roman's gonna always take his time off being a champ. He's gonna skip EC only because it's not a main champ. It's not a main PLE. And it's best to promote other wrestlers, as I've always been saying, since Roman's been kind of a ghost. We get to see everyone else get their shine in certain areas and certain places. They go to this country. Now Rhea's promoted. They'll probably go to Montreal where a Canadian is promoted, and we kind of see the whole thing. I might go a little bit off, but we see the whole thing with the Jinder Mahal build up. There's got to be some master plan from Triple H in order to get back into fighting in India. Or, the same way they do with the Saudi build up. They have, certain ways and certain builds up to these matches. So maybe this is the way they go in order to hype up this title fight. But like I said, it's not going to be for the titles when they do fight each other. So it will leave question marks as to probably who's going to be the real winner of the Royal Rumble at the same time.
Triple H era, it could be anyone. Anyone. We got a couple of messages here. Let's hear from Tristan.
I don't know if my last message sent. Let me know if it did or not.
It totally did, and we've all basically answered. Well, especially Jay, he answered it perfectly for us. Here's one from Coast to Coast.
Yo, I know that y'all experts and shit, so I hope I don't fuck up the show by asking. Is there a form of an Undertaker that exists in wrestling now? He was one of my favorites growing up. That's why I asked.
Of course we do. His name is Destaker. He's the host of the Three Bells. Let's go on to our next question.
Yo, you can always replay the message. Just go to played messages and you can replay messages you played.
Shout out for Coast to Ghost with that for that tidbit. But yeah, Ghost, yeah, we have a second. The Taker, his name is Des Taker. He's right here. Say hi, Mr. Taker.
Nah, Coast, bro, my guy. Take is my goat. They don't have no new Undertaker in WWE because of the fact that the Undertaker still appears here and there. He recently showed up about a month or two ago or 3 months ago. These days, he's the American Badass Undertaker, so he doesn't do the darkness and all that stuff anymore. But he showed up recently, so yeah, bro, he still comes around. He just doesn't compete anymore because there's nothing for him. But he's still around. And with Tristan, if I'm looking at his notes properly, he was asking about Elimination Chamber, right? Can I play his note again, Shane?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right.
How, however, I do think though, Elimination Chamber is another premier, event pay per view for where the title holders have to participate, and I do think he should be able to participate to where he can't have that chance of not performing. I do think he should be in the Elimination Chamber, to create more hype to show that this is an unstoppable man. Obviously, he's bringing it to Mania, to where it's like whether The Rock comes at Royal Rumble, the Raw after Royal Rumble, or SmackDown after Royal Rumble, I do think that in between the lines, like Elimination Chamber, Roman Reigns should have a match, and I do think some controversial thing happened to where it leads up to him and Rock at Mania, because that was an angle that was supposed to be angle for last year. Now they capitalize on this year. So,
All right. So if I can actually comment on that, can I?
I mean, you're going to anyway, so hit it.
You're damn right, because there's no comments and nothing like that. There's a period after that. So I didn't get a chance to comment on him. But so yeah, Trist Rollins. Basically, the way it's looking is that Royal Rumble is going to be a Raw superstar winning, and then Elimination Chamber is going to be used for a SmackDown person to possibly challenge for the WWE title at a later date, probably. Because again, just because you win Elimination Chamber doesn't mean that you'll get a Royal Rumble spot. Especially again, since we have the whole Rock situation going on. I feel somehow, some way, with the friendship that Cody Rhodes has with Nick Aldis, he's going to find his way to weasel into that match and win that match. It's going to be weird, but I feel that's how it's going to work. But at the end of the day, that match might be prolonged until the next major WWE pay-per-view. Uh, believe it or not, I'm starting to believe that the main event for WrestleMania will be Rock versus Roman, and it will be Roman winning the match because of the fact that he's beaten every other quote unquote GOAT that we've put in his way, whether it be Brock Lesnar, whether it be John Cena multiple times, whether it be the Undertaker. He's beat them all, and it would just make sense that the savior, like I quoted him last week when I said this, The Rock, who's looked as the savior for my era, with the Attitude Era, and the one man that we're like, oh no, he's better than you, Roman, he's bigger than you, Roman. But it would make sense for him to beat The Rock to solidify him as a champion for the last 4 years. That's something that we can't sneeze at. This dude's been champion since 2020. This dude's been champion since COVID started. You understand that? So it makes sense for him to beat The Rock, and for The Rock to put him. The Rock, if anybody watched his TV show about him, Roman was like a little kid when he was like, oh, we got to fight each other. Simone dropped me, and The Rock said it. He was like, look, if we're going to do that, that's a match that'll only happen at WrestleMania. And you fast forward all these years later, it will happen at WrestleMania. But it means more for Roman Reigns to beat The Rock, to be the unsolidified head of the table for their family and for this company. And as we saw with The Rock versus John Cena the second time around, The Rock didn't mind taking the L and passing the torch to John Cena, who passed the torch in all means to Roman Reigns. So it makes sense. It makes sense. Like Jay said, Elimination Chamber is all about the people who are who come from the country that they're in. It's not about WrestleMania. It's not about that. It's more so about the people that they can brand and expand off of. It's a business move. That's why it's out the country. Because if it was in America, it wouldn't mean so much. To us, it's like, oh, Elimination Chamber, oh, another pay-per-view. But outside the country, it means more. And then when you have it in somebody or multiple people's hometown, it means even more, as we saw with Clash of the Champions. So that's my take on that. Shane?
See, I knew exactly when you ended, even though there was a lot that you said. But thank you so much
Because
for sharing that with us.
I make sure my periods are periods. Y'all pause after a
Oh my
comma.
gosh.
Okay? You can't pause after a comma. Oh man, that's not how it works, okay? Come on now. You better stop.
And it's so interesting how out of the three of us, you're the one with that quote unquote problem. Isn't that
Yeah,
something?
because of the two of y'all don't know how to use commas and periods. But real quick, I just want to say once again, I want to shout out my guy Coast to Ghost. I want to shout out my boy Drew. That's my partner right there, bro. I'm gonna miss you tomorrow. I want to shout out Trish Rollins. I want to shout out girl Donatella. Thank you so much for looking out. And Little Miss T, thank you so much. Thank you guys. We appreciate y'all listening in. Most of y'all, I'm 100% sure, have no clue what's going on with WWE right now, but I'm pretty sure you guys were fans back in the Attitude Era, where most of us were. So I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. Coast, again, Undertaker's my GOAT. So thank y'all. Shane, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're not. And speaking of Coast to Ghost, he has a message. He says,
Oh, this is heating up. This is heating up. I like this. Periods, commas, yeah.
Yo, Coast, bro, I don't know what's up with these dudes, bro. Like, yo, I'm trying to explain to them what the difference between a comma and a period is, because they go with their soliloquies. Yes, I'm using big words right now, and then they pause for a second as if it's a period, but then they keep going. I'm like, that's not how it works, you know. So let's show these people some decor. Let's show them how we know how to, you know, use periods and commas. Okay, this is Grumpy Mundo right now, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
yes, the same guy that's telling us about the quorum? Huh. Anyway, before we close out the show, we would like to thank everyone. Well, I'd like to extend a special thank you for everyone that joined us today and that has left hellos and messages. And if you're still on, you can join Desmondo in his English and Spanish course. He teaches a course on how to speak on the mic, know when there's a comma and a period. You should join it. And I'm sure if you have a chance to leave a message, he will more than likely cut you off because he doesn't know when your comma or your period appears. But that's a different story. But Ghost, if you like the transactions that's going on here, you should join us on Monday when we have our Raw edition of Three Bells, which
That's
would
my
be the
show.
next time. That's Destaker's show. Yes.
That's my
And
show. Yes. Come to my
yes,
show. Yes.
yes, I'm doing you a favor by promoting your show, Des. The
You
show
better have.
that the Three Bells Raw episode hosted by Destaker, aka Mondes for aka Des, they aka dot dot dot. Also joining us would be Triple J as well as myself, and then Triple J he hosts our NXT episode of Three Bells. That's on Tuesday. I have one final question. One little final question, okay? One little final question to add on to this Roman Reigns thing. Just a curious question. Because he is the champion of WWE. And he is also the head of the table. Not a WWE table, but a table that was what created by Roman Reigns or by a tribal chief, he says, or whatever. So if Roman Reigns were to lose the titles, would he still be head of the table? Des, you start off. Jay, you go after. If anyone would like to put in their 2 cents, please leave a message to that question. Period.
Um, no. It's plain and simple. Once you lose, you lose. You can't you can't be the head of the table and champion and then lose your belts. Your belts solidify the fact that you are the head of the table. They don't work like that. So if he loses, that's what I've been saying to y'all. We've been hearing Triple J say, oh, he should fight for 2 nights or whatever that nature. And I'm like, bro, the first time he loses, it's done. Nothing else matters after that. You cannot lose and then try to fight again. You lost. It's the first time you lost as a singles competitor in almost 4 years. It does not work that way. So, plain and simple, you are no longer the head of the table. You are no longer the tribal chief. You're no longer the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion. It's all done after one loss. Mundo.
Hold up. My whole thing is, if he's facing The Rock, like I've been saying, it's gonna only be for the rights to the head of the table. So what, Shane, I want to ask you is, that means if he wins the Rumble, he's not defending his title at WrestleMania. If that's the case, this is why I come up with my logic of saying Roman's fighting on 2 days, one night to defend the belt and one night to fight for the honor and the pride of the head of the table. Because there can't be no way that he's gonna fight The Rock and it's for the titles. No, it's gonna be for that shit around the neck, plain and simple. Somebody who wins the Rumble will probably be the one to fight Roman, or it'll be the winner of Elimination Chamber to fight Roman. So Roman, yes, will have to pull off 2 nights. He got to do it. He's the champion. He's the head of the table. He's it. So if he doesn't, if he loses his belts and still beats The Rock, he's still the head of the table. Fuck that.
How can you still be the head of the table if you just lost the whole point of why you're relevant in the company, why you're relevant in wrestling in general? You can't claim something when you just lost. How?
That's because the Rock wants to fight him for those things around the neck, bro. That's all he cares about.
But
That's
last,
what the head of the table is the
but
stuff
the
around the
last time,
neck. The
the
title
last,
doesn't mean nothing at
the
all,
last,
bro.
the last time we had a match like that, it was for everything. It was for those things around his neck. It was for the title around his waist. You can't separate them. It's one. He became the head
No.
because of the fact that he held the Universal title for so long. You
What did
like
The
you
Rock say? The Rock said he wants to be at the head of the table. He did
no
not
no no.
mention anything about a belt
He did not,
at all
he did not say that he wants to be at the head of the table. He asked where he
to
should
be at the head.
sit. He
Right.
asked where he
Okay.
should sit. That is two different things. There's two different
So
things.
he's not going for the belt. He's not going for the belt. He wants what's around the neck. He doesn't want
Coast,
what's around the waist. He doesn't
coast,
want it, bro. Plain and
coast,
simple.
coast. Drew, Tristan. If I'm the man, right, with the goal, all the goal, and I lose, how the hell am I still calling myself the man after I lose? That doesn't make sense. If I lose, I lose. I can't claim that I'm a
Because
guy.
they're fighting for the pride of their family. That's a different storyline. That's
No,
different.
it's
They're
not.
fighting for they're fighting for the right of
No,
the family. If
it is
he
not.
loses and he loses to somebody else, it's different.
He
He
only
can
called
still
himself
fight.
table because of the fact that he's champion. He
I
said, "I'm the
oh
champion." He said it. He said it out of his. You forgot. I sent you the video. I sent you the video of what he said over the last 3 years. He gained that goal to call himself the head of the table because he was the champion for how long? That's the only reason why he calls himself the head of the table. Because of the fact that he is the WWE champion, which is the name of the company. He's a Universal champion, which was the other title that was in the company, the other top title. He got both of them. I'm the guy. So if I lose, that is it. I can't claim myself to be that anymore. How are you still anything if you lose? Why do you think they made such a big deal when Jay Uso pinned him after he went almost 3 years without anybody pinning him? Come on,
Des, let me ask you this question
shoot.
because I'm thinking at the moment when he was, would you say, knighted as the tribal chief when his two, who are they? Are they like uncles or whatever from his
It was his
family?
father. It was his father, and it was his uncle, the Wild
That
Samoans.
right. They put the tribal chief thing around his neck and said that he was the head of the table. Yes.
Correct.
So so they were head of the tables and they're passing the head of the table position on to him, Roman Reigns. Yes.
Correct.
So were they also champions? Did they retire as champions? Like being champions of WWE, did that make them head of the tables to pass that throne to Roman? If Roman had won those titles, could it have possibly gone to one of the Usos? Could it have gone to The Rock when he has possibly come back? So what I'm
They
saying is because the tribal chief title, it's separate from the WWE titles. I mean, it's not like, let's say, if I don't know where AJ Styles decide he wins, he beats Roman and gets the titles. Does that make AJ head of the table? No, it just makes him the big champion of WWE. Yes,
again.
period.
He funny shit.
get him, get him.
Now, he got that title because of the fact that he defended the belt for damn near a year. at that point. And he said that he's the head of the table because he's the champion, and he's uplifting his family to be better and to be champions, which is what happened eventually when Jimmy accepted it and the Usos became tag team champions. That's why he was named the head of the table. When The Rock won titles, he didn't care. He didn't say anything about about his family. He was just champion. He was a corporate champion. He was a people's champion. But um, Roman Reigns made it clear that he's champion because he wants to make his family better. He wants to uplift his family. So I don't know how we're forgetting that part. I literally sent y'all the video of this situation with the bloodline, how it began and how we are where we are. There's no questions. It
So
only
if
became,
Roman,
in y'all eyes, it only became a question when Jay decided to have that, you know, tribal match or whatever that was. But at the end of the day, it was still for the WWE Undisputed Championship and those things around Roman's neck. You can't forget that.
like, so the titles and the thing around his neck goes hand in hand. And if he loses the title, he loses his seat as the tribal chief.
Right. If you
Because,
if you remember that SmackDown afterwards when he was pretending that he was like, "Oh, I'm not no longer the head of the table" and all that other stuff. He threw the title at Jay's feet. They threw the what do you call it, the things around his neck when he was faking it. You remember that?
I do.
It's all one.
Yes, correct. For Roman, it's one. But again, who is going to, if not one of the Usos, if not Solo, if someone else were to take those titles, would they be head of the table?
No, because they're not part of the family. That's the thing. They only bring up this head of the table nonsense when it's family. Any
Okay,
other title match, it was just about the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. But when it was against Jay, it was about the head of the table. Now that it's The Rock, it's about the head of the table. But anybody else is just Royal Rumble. It's about the WWE Universal Championship.
fair enough. Fair enough. And you know what? I say this again, and I should probably get a tattoo of this. We're in a Triple H era, and anything could be possible. Because now with Triple J, not only does he has a plan A and a plan B, but he has a plan C also. Just when we think something's going to happen totally out of nowhere, something happens that just shocked us all. And I'm excited. I don't know about everybody else that's at the table and that's visiting us, but I'm excited about what's to come up. We have a pay per view coming in 2 weeks. Then we have what, Elimination Chamber, and then we have, yes, baby, April 1st. And we have our Raw in Brooklyn. I'm definitely going to check that out. We have so much to look forward to. Okay, one final tiny question before we close out, because I want to end on a high note, because I feel a lot of hot boiling blood coming from the table and where Des is sitting. So I would like to throw some ice on there so it can cool down a bit. Somebody asked this question online. I have an answer, but I would like to hear your answers also, Jay, then Des, and if anybody would like to leave a message to answer this question. Who do you think delivers the best spear? You know that dangerous spear move? Who do you think delivers the best spear?
That's a great question. If we're going all time, wow, because I caramba,
Yes,
I'm,
all
I'm,
time.
wow. I would probably start it with one of the originators in Rhino. That'll probably be my guy to go with because he introduced us to it as the gore. It was never introduced to us as the spear. Only when ECW merged with WWE, that's when it became the spear. Then it became the Goldberg spear. You know, I'm gonna stay and stick with that answer of Rhino.
For me, I'm gonna go with Goldberg because of the fact that he didn't have any wrestling training when he was working at WCW, and that joint was legit power, straight up, only because of the fact that he wasn't a wrestler. That's my answer. Shane?
Those are two great answers. And you want to know something, Jay? I agree with you 1000%. That was totally my answer also with Rhino. And the thing that I love when he did it, because it was titled as Gore. Who narrated it? Paul Heyman. Gore! Gore! And for some reason, when he said that, it just made that move look so much powerful. It just make you go, oh! And just the size of Rhino, he just had those big legs, and it looked like he was going to split the person in half. But thank you, fellas, for answering that question. And thank you, fellas, for being here today. And thank you for everybody that joined us today in our chat. Shout out to everybody that joined us today. We'd like to thank you. This is our show. We've been here for over 2 hours, by the way. So thank you, Daz, for joining the table today. Any last words?
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be on the show tonight. I had other obligations, but I can't leave my guys hanging. I love my guys too much. Shane, Omac, my guy, I love you. Triple J, I love you. Everybody that showed up, asked questions, listened in, I thank you so much. I love you. And more of the Three Bells podcast will happen moving forward. Thank you guys. Thank you, everyone.
And on my final note to everybody that's been listening, God bless. We appreciate you listening and sending them comments. Trust me, it goes a long way. And we hope to continue bringing you the best in WWE talk every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. This is Jay signing off. Yeet and have a great weekend.
Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We will see you. Hopefully, we will see and hear from you again this coming Monday as Destaker hosts our Raw recap. From Brooklyn, New York, everyone, this is Shane O'Mac saying thank you and good night and have an awesome weekend.
And don't forget those periods.
Jeez.